best to keep it off everyone's radar and thought she'd succeeded. But apparently, retirement hadn't impeded Luke's uncanny access to information. Hopefully, he'd kept it to himself, because the last thing she needed was Rafe or her mother swooping in to berate her for unwittingly dating a criminal, smother her with misplaced concern, annoy her with attempts to take over her life on the mistaken assumption she couldn't run it properly, or some aggravating combination of all of the above. The muscles around her left eye began to twitch in what she was learning to recognize as the warning sign of a tension headache. And that was just plain wrong. As a rule, she didn't get uptight. She had it good, and she knew it. But thanks to the perfect storm of stressors in her life lately, she'd fallen into an unhealthy state of all work and no play. One she hoped to end during this week in Maui. She'd counted on this getaway to recapture her zen. Unfortunately, it seemed 7,000 miles wasn't quite far enough to outrun stress. She needed a distraction. Even as the thought crossed her mind, she turned to search out the shoulders. The ping of a new text sounded, and although she told herself to ignore the interruption, her eyes strayed to her phone. Luke was back.
Your brother found someone who makes him happy and strengthens our business. I see no reason you can't do the same.
Naturally, because taking St. Sebastian out of the equation would never happen. Her father clearly assumed as much, which is why she was going to end up sacrificing a Saturday night to go on a blind date with a hard-up nephew of the people who'd sold him this hotel. God forbid she'd choose to be with someone who didn't offer some business advantage. But it was the flip side of Luke's assumption that really worried her. God forbid someone want to be with her simply for her. St. Sebastian paid the Templetons a good price for the resort. How did I become part of the deal? A whooshing sound swept the uncharacteristically nasty retort off to Luke, but it left little prickles of guilt in its wake. Jaded as he was, her father loved her. He simply drew no distinction between business and family. They were one and the same in his mind, and he'd spent the better part of his life wheeling, dealing, and strategizing to maintain St. Sebastian's status as the destination of choice for travelers seeking world-class accommodations in the most desirable locations.
Yes, I spent millions purchasing a hotel simply to secure you a dinner date. Please be on time.
An eye roll would be wasted since her father couldn't see her. Instead, she wadded up her cocktail napkin and used it as an impromptu stress ball. Not effective. Name, time, location. She hit send and then leaned across the bar and snagged another cocktail napkin from the small stack. Well, two as it happened, because the little buggers stuck together. She pulled the closest one toward her, dug a pen out of the purse she'd slung over the back of her bar stool, and scribbled some notes to herself about furniture layout and lighting for the lounge. Her father texted the date details, Nick Bancroft, in the hotel lounge at 7 p.m., and signed off by informing her he hoped to conclude his business in New York by midweek and expected to meet with her in Maui before she left. He looked forward to reviewing in detail her proposed changes to their newest resort. In detail? Oh, joy! She lifted her pen and looked at the ideas she'd jotted down as a new knot of anxiety formed in her stomach. She could justify color schemes, explain the importance of layering textures, or the value of offering locally sourced amenities. Psychology and economics shaped her decisions. Her job actually wasn't a big arbitrary shopping spree, regardless of what people thought. But just now, pondering what the next few days had in store for her, put a lead-weighted ache between her twitching eye. Shit! How had her peaceful week in Maui devolved into a St. Sebastian off-site? The notes on the cocktail napkin mocked her. She closed her eyes and rubbed the left one with the heel of her hand. A date? She didn't need a date. She needed an escape. A sweaty, stress-relieving night of orgasms with absolutely no questions asked